Yes, I finally did it. I finally climbed out of bronze in
30
Valorant.
seconds
Yes,
left.
I know, I know. I'm totally not out of the woods yet. I could lose a game or two and fall back into bronze. But for now, I'm pretty happy that I made it into silver. Because, whew, it was quite a shocker when I first completed my placement matches. I was like, man, I placed into bronze? I was feeling good about myself. I thought, myself, moi, like me, I thought I was a silver player at the very least. Maybe even low silver, but nah, 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 nah. After completing my placement matches, the game was like, yo man, I gotta tell you something. You actually belong in bronze and in the lowest tier actually. And I'm just shocked sitting here. It's like, man, I really belong in bronze. But I'll take it because it could be much worse. I could be placed tiers lower. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Even if I was placed in iron, I'm just like, I
Reloading.
gotta start here, and this is where I climb up. Because at the end of the day, everybody gets a placement rank, and everybody has to climb up in order to reach that summit, right?
Last
So,
player
change
standing.
my mindset on things. So I decided to play a whole bunch of Valorant games, and within 10 days, I was able to climb from bronze all the way to silver, and I'm pretty excited about that, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it was gonna be. And let me tell you, there's a lot of things
Spike
that I could have
planted.
done in order to reduce the amount of time that I had to play because I think I could have done it within
One
6
enemy
days if I
remaining.
didn't make so many mistakes. If you're in a
Spike
similar
planted.
situation where you're
One
placed in
enemy
bronze or
remaining.
even iron, it's not impossible to climb out. And hopefully, with my experience and the tips that I could give you and
One
mistakes that
enemy
you could
remaining.
avoid, maybe you'll be able to climb out much quicker as well. Because definitely, I wish I knew these things before I even started playing Valorant. Let me tell you how I first started. So I first started playing Valorant right in the beginning when it launched. So I was pretty excited trying out the beta and I was super excited, but I only actually played 3 games of Valorant and I thought this game wasn't for me. So I decided to stop playing it altogether. And it wasn't until very recently after a couple of months my friends were like, "Hey, let's play Valorant and we're all bad at this game. We'll have fun anyways and laugh it off if we like suck or do well. Everybody can make some type of play." So we decided to play, and I actually had a lot of fun because by now the game felt more polished. There was more maps, there was more agents, there was skins in the game, even though I don't own any. But it's nice to pick up, a gun that had skins from your enemy players. So, I thought this game was pretty good. So I decided to look into it some more. So I decided to play more unrated games, and eventually I won enough in order to unlock competitive. And the moment I tried competitive, let me tell you, it was a far different experience. I didn't really know the meta. I didn't really know what agents were the most popular. Like I just wanted to play the game as kind of like a shooter game, right? Like I was like, I played
Last
Counter
player
Strike before. I
standing.
kind of know what this is. And once I got into competitive, I lost 5 games straight. That's my fault. I should have done more research. I should have played more actually, to be honest, and learned more about things. But I just rushed it because in my mindset, I'm probably silver and I'm okay with placing silver. I'll eventually climb out, but nah, I placed in bronze and it was much worse. And my performance in unrated versus competitive was vastly different. People play differently. So, that's where I ended up. But what I want to say is that if you're fairly new to Valorant, I highly suggest that you play quite a bit of Spike Rush because you get to learn about the character's abilities and their kit and how they work. And you also get a good feel for the map as well. Because when you're starting off with Valorant, you're not too sure about who you might want to play and whether or not you like their kit. The games in Spike Rush are much shorter than compared to unrated or competitive, so you get a feel for multiple characters, multiple rounds, multiple maps, and you get to learn pretty quickly. Spike Rush also helped me find out which characters that I wanted to play. So at first I decided to play Jet, and I thought it was going to be a Jet main. And as I continued to play the game, I found out I suck as Jet. So I decided to
One
switch
enemy remaining.
from Jet to Raze. And I really like Raze because she has the ability to one-shot people with her Showstopper, which is her ultimate. And she also has other fragging abilities as well. So I really enjoyed
One
her.
enemy
So I
remaining.
decided to play
Last
Raze
player
as
standing.
my main character in competitive. And I definitely made a mistake with picking Raze. So the main reason why I think I made a mistake in playing Raze
Impressive
is
work.
because I didn't understand how to play Raze. I knew how to play her in Spike Rush. I knew how her abilities work. However, I don't know how to play her in a competitive match. Because as the duelist, you have different positionings and you should be able to pull your weight as the duelist. And I wasn't too sure and confident in how she played. So every time I played Raze, I went ham and I died in competitive. Even if I didn't go ham, I usually died and made it feel like I was a terrible duelist. So I decided to go on a quest for my third character, And eventually I thought about it and I was like, hey, this is games made by Riot Games, and what did I do in League in order to accelerate my growth? Because I thought I was pretty good when I was playing mid, top, or jungle or AD carry. But however, the position that I learned the most about the game and which helped me propel forward in League of Legends was playing support. So I was like, oh, Sage is kind of like a support class. She heals her character, she has a wall, she has utility abilities, and I was like, okay, I can play Sage. And this is where the game started to click for me. I can tell you though, even though this is a gun game, abilities are a big factor in this game, and positioning. So as a duelist, I felt the need to rush in more often than not in order to try open up and make space or get frag kills. But as a support, as Sage, I don't want to die. So what I want to do is I want to heal my allies and also offer utility support as well, whether it be my abilities to slow them, my wall, or also just shooting them. But with playing Sage, I kind of understood the positioning of how players play and also where people tend to camp. Because as the duelist, I tend to go forward, and if I died, I kind of don't learn anything because I have to watch my allies play. But since I survived much longer as Sage, I'm able to see where people usually are hiding, where people aim at, what guns people like to play if they're playing alongside of the map. Some people like to snipe, etc. So playing Sage definitely put me on the right track because I learned more about the game, and eventually I started to climb, and this is where I became a Sage one trick. So Spike Rush definitely led me in order to find the characters that I like and what kind of characters I like to play, and while I transitioned those characters into unrated and competitive, I found the characters that I'm truly good at. As I continue to play Sage, I noticed that I like trying out characters that have healing abilities because I think that's super powerful. So I personally think that I'm better than Bronze. And if you think you're better than the rank that you're at, I feel like characters that are like Phoenix, Sage, and Reyna, like they can heal themselves. And if you know you can outgun your opponent and you can heal yourself back, that's huge because that's what's gonna take you far into the game. And I don't know how far yet, but that's my plan so far. I'm gonna ride that self-heal train, and I think it's pretty awesome. As you continue to climb into higher tiers, this might not be as abusable, but because everybody's skill set is going to be virtually almost the same because you're going to have really good players on both sides. However, if you're in the lower tiers like iron, bronze, silver, gold, like the skill set between each player is going to be vastly different depending on who you face. So if you think you're really good at this game and you know you're pretty good and you place in a super low rank, you can play these like self-heal characters and it's pretty huge. You get a kill on your enemy, you get damage a bit, you heal to full, and then you can challenge the next person. And if you know you're gonna keep winning like that, then you should play those characters. That's what I think anyways. Another big thing that I changed up was my aiming. So at first I was playing with the default crosshair. I think you should definitely change to a smaller crosshair, and you should focus on walking and also crouching as well. Because when you're moving and shooting, your accuracy is going to be a lot different than if you're not moving and staying still. So you should practice on slowing down and taking your shot. And one of the ways that I changed up on how I was shooting my gun in Valorant was switching the guns that I used. So I decided to switch over to the Guardian, and I really enjoyed the Guardian. It really helped me improve my aim and my shooting. So this gun felt really rewarding if you had good aim. So I was able to increase my accuracy, increase my kills, and eventually I started to win more matches. So I transitioned that to competitive, and I thought that was working well. And eventually I switched over to the Vandal, and the Guardian really helped me prep for the Vandal because I had a really bad habit about clicking my gun and holding down my mouse button in order to shoot and hopefully trying to get a kill. But since the Guardian I was forced to tap, I'm now able to tap on the Vandal and just do short bursts of bullets in order to get my kills right now. And that really helped me improve my gun control on the Vandal. Like, it's totally not perfect, there's always room for improvement, but that's what quickly helped me improve my aim and my shooting accuracy, which is using the Guardian. Another thing that really helped me was watching some competitive high-ranked Valorant players play on Twitch, and you get to see how they play the characters. So I really learned a lot from watching them, and even watching the Valorant tournaments as well, because you get to see how teams position themselves, how they move in, how they stack their abilities, and also how they even plant the spikes even. So I learned a couple of things that I picked up on right away that I could apply towards my games, and that really helped me a lot. So I understood a lot more about positioning, how to play with the team, and also when to move in and out, and that really helped me. So I highly suggest that you catch a stream or two because the amount of information that you can get from watching them is immense. Another thing that I wish I remembered was that when you're planting or defusing the spike, it's going to make a noise that everybody can hear. So you can definitely hear the opponent planting or defusing the spike. And also while you're defusing it, you can defuse it halfway, or you can just cancel it to try to draw players in by making the defusal noise. Every single round in Valorant is going to be played quite differently, so I can't tell you that you should always go for the fake defusal or defuse all the way or defuse only up to half. So it's really up to you on that judgment call based on your scenarios. But as you continue to play, you're going to get a great feel for the game and you're going to know when to make that higher percentage chance winning play. For example, this Reina is in a tight position where she's forced to make a decision because not only is time running out, it's also match point. So she already saw me, so she can't plant the spike because she knows if she tries to plant, my ally or myself might go in and try to attack her. So she tries to go for the higher winning percentage play, which is to try to wipe both of us in order to win the round. But that pressure is really on her because we're already at match point. So she's going to have to make these decisions on the fly and go for the higher winning percentage play to save the game. One final tip or piece of advice I can give you is that you should have strong mental fortitude and strong mental resistance while you're playing this game. This applies to any other game. I'm not just applying this just to Valorant. This applies to any game. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. For example, you play competitive and a teammate disconnects and it's a 4v5 instantly. You shouldn't just give up right away. It's possible to win, it's much harder to win, but most likely, you might lose, but you can definitely win in 4v5 situations. I've done it before and it's really difficult, but it's possible. And you should just try your best because it sucks that it happens, but it happens on the enemy team sometimes. Sometimes you get free wins. I consider them free wins, but you can sometimes get a 5v4 in your favor, vice versa, or a 3v5, etc. Sometimes you get a player that's really the weak link on the other team. Those are things that just come with the game and you just have to deal with it. You shouldn't feel so tilted that it throws you off the next game and it makes you perform worse. Remember, you should come into the game and just work on your gameplay, what you can do better. If you died in a certain situation, how can you fix that for next time? When you focus on your own improvement and on things that you can do better, you're probably going to play better most likely the next time. And if you keep doing that over the long term, you're going to eventually climb ranks. And all this comes down to you playing more Valorant. So the more games you accrue, the more knowledge and gameplay experience you accrue. And this will apply to any game. So you kind of have to be mentally strong, don't get tilted. And this is something that develops over time. Another big thing that you have to work on is ignoring your teammates' comments and also the enemy teammates' comments if they're calling you out. So there's a lot of times in some games where somebody calls you out because you're playing bad, or they're calling you out, oh, that's a cheap, dirty trick that you did, for example, using a shotgun. It doesn't really matter. It's a part of the game. They have to deal with it. There's nothing cheap about it or anything. If you're playing to win, don't worry about it. Just keep trucking on and keep doing what you're doing, because if it's working, that means it's good. If your enemy gets mad, that's great because they're getting tilted themselves if they have to call you out. And it feels great, especially if they call you out because they just got destroyed by you. So, enjoy it. Like, this is something that develops over time. You don't gain this mental resistance, mental fortitude in a day. And in some days, you just might crack, Like it's nothing 100%, but you try your best, and that's how you climb up. You have to have strong mental fortitude, strong mental resistance, accumulate more experience with this game, and eventually you'll climb up. If you're following these tips and you still can't climb up, well, there's probably something you're doing wrong. Whether there's something wrong with your foundations of your basics, which is shooting and aiming ability, or reaction time. And that's only something that can be acquired by playing a lot of and learning how to control your hardware, like your mouse and keyboard. And your reaction time is something you develop yourself. If you keep playing, you'll eventually get better, but I'm not telling you you're going to get better within 1 hour, within 30 seconds. It's going to take a little bit of time. Everyone's going to get better at this game at different speeds. So, if it's taking you a little bit longer to learn a certain gun or aim, well, take your time with it, because eventually all those experiences that you get throughout Valorant will make you a better player at the end of the day. Because if you don't play this game at all, you're not going to be amazing at this game right away. You're going to have to work at it. No pro is born overnight. People play this game and increase their skills, increase their experience, and it's all part of a learning behavior. And all these little experiences you can take away into other games like League of Legends, into MMOs, because in order to be competitive you need to have a certain mindset. Sometimes when you set goals that are too high, you might feel discouraged. And what I recommend is that sometimes you set little mini goals in the way. So my ultimate goal is to get to gold. And my next goal before, when I was in bronze, was to get to silver. And that's something I definitely can achieve. And within that goal, I also try to achieve getting better aiming. So I practiced the Guardian, try to learn more characters. So I played Spike Rush. So all these little things that you do, they all add up. And eventually everything will click together. Also, one last thing to keep in mind is that if you keep performing well in games and have high combat efficiency, you do well with your KDA, you're helping out the team, you do a lot of damage, get kills, you're gonna eventually start to climb higher and higher and gain more points. And I feel this is very similar to the League of Legends systems on rank. So if you keep performing well, you're eventually gonna just start climbing your higher tiers. So just keep at it, keep playing the game, and eventually you're gonna reach the appropriate rank that the game believes that you belong in. And if you continue to outperform that, you're gonna keep climbing even higher. And it also works the other way. So if you're doing worse than your current tier, well, you're gonna obviously go down. But you're gonna have to just keep working at it. Hopefully some of these talking points really helped you on your rank journey. If you're in bronze and iron and you actually climbed even higher based off the advice that I gave you in this video, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. The next time I'll make a video on Valorant is probably when I climb to gold, or if I can even climb to gold. So I don't know my skill set right now, but I haven't been playing it actually since I've been playing Destiny for about 2 weeks so far and enjoy it. But I'll probably go back to Valorant in a bit to test out my skill. But if you like this video and want to see more content from me, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys later.